Last Epoch, how's the situation currently? Let's see.
As it currently stands, Last Epoch has mixed reviews on Steam. There's some people that are very upset about the pretty rough launch, if we're being honest, and then there are
Rightfully so, I will admit.
people that believe it is a good ARPG driven from an indie company with good practices towards the consumer. So
Also, actually, very true.
you end up with mixed reviews depending upon which side of the spectrum you end up falling on. Well, Last Epoch themselves, in fact, notably here, Judd Cobbler, the founder and game director, actually posted this only 40 minutes ago on Twitter, and this is a breakdown and response upon the current situation with Last Epoch. They opened by mentioning Last Epoch had 265,000 players online at one time, so this is your concurrent at the...
This is all they could handle, by the way, as far as I understand. Again, Last Epoch is unironically suffering for success. And I will just state, by the way, this blatantly here. You have all the right in the world to actually be pissed about the servers not working. Because, you know, even if you never plan to trade or interact with anyone online, you still have the right to play online. And if that right is taken away from you, you have the right to be negative, and if it's so bad that you think you want to leave a negative review, you can. But admittedly, at the same time, if that's your reason for leaving a negative review, I honestly think that the moment the servers are fixed, you should actually change the review, or, you know, delete the review, or whatever you can do. Because, you know, the reason why you were initially mad about the product, and that was your reasoning why you're mad about it, has been fixed, so now you technically should be happy. So, you know, if you want to negatively review it, do it, but I do think that, you know, if that's your reasoning, you should probably flip it to a plus or remove the review entirely if, you know, the servers are fixed.
The second online, which was number 39 highest concurrent user count recorded on Steam literally ever. They continue to say basically that they're sorry about the server loads and thank you for bearing with them. And they're holding steady now above 200,000 players and have made improvements each day to support the demand. They're going to continue to address any issues that cropped up. And then they start to break down about what is...
By the way, I don't know, maybe I'm picking like the right time of day to play, but I haven't actually experienced server issues in the last 2 days? Is it now? I think 2 days, yeah.
Incoming. Now, I can confirm I've been playing Last Epoch, obviously, every single day on the live stream, and we will be again today if you want. That's in the description. But as of yesterday, the connection does seem to finally be improved while still under significant server load. I guess a bit of what I had heard, and I think they're going to get into this here, but a bit of what I had heard about this wasn't so much a server-related issue as there was a software issue that did not arise until the mass flow of people come up that they weren't aware of. So I know a lot of people are saying, well, just buy more servers. I guess they had the servers. There was an AP.
I guess that makes sense. But also, I would like to say, man, I knew Last Epoch is going to be success, but this is you know, hell divers and, you know, almost Palworld levels of disgusting success. Well, it's not close to Palworld, but you kind of get the point. It is an unforeseen level of absolute win for them. I thought it's gonna be maybe like 70k to 100k people. This is this is completely out of any expectations I think any normal person would have. Because yeah, I talked good about Last Epoch, and a lot of other people actually checked out Last Epoch. A lot of big streamers, a lot of big YouTubers talked about it in general, but you know, it's like, there was no expectancy that Last Epoch is just gonna crush it like this.
PI problem or something. I'm not a dev. I couldn't tell you. I'm sure there'll be plenty of devs in the YouTube comments down below that will talk about what's going on that might know. So they do mention there's an incoming hotfix in post 1.0 patch. This is actually going to be bug fixing and quality of life patch. This is important in my opinion. There are significant bugs in the moment that at least annoy me. If I'll speak for myself personally, I'm playing a hammered in paladin. I'm throwing a bunch of hammers that spiral around me, and very often these hammers hit literally nothing in the air and just disappear. There's one boss that I had to try 5 times, because if you fight him anywhere in the top half of the arena, you literally can't damage him with hammers, so I had to fight him in the bottom half of the arena, which half the time is covered with AoE damage. So I am looking forward to these bug fixes. This next paragraph is here, basically them responding again to the server issues. They said they're holding solid above the 200K mark. They're improving their loading times. There was a big complaint, and it was a very valid complaint about loading times taking forever in transitioning from zone to zone. And I'm not just talking about connection issues, but the actual time it takes to load. They're working on this improvement as well. They're working on continuing to improve things like the social systems, scene-to-scene transition time, in-game chat is more stable, etc. This is just sort of more, hey, we're working on fixing things and making sure it's more stable. The next portion.
Yeah, the devs of Last Epoch understand the idea that the server chat is not really doing, 10 out of 10. It's not exactly the big issue. They're just, mentioning it as fluff.
As I'm talking about, they're going to be working on translations, typos, etc., and they're continuing to work on UI error fixes.
Oh yeah, I remembered this one. I remembered this one. What's the face? I forgot. Quinn 69. I almost forgot. Quinn said this. Oh, there's a typo in my skin description. Well, shit, dude. I how will you now be able to understand what it says or what it means? A typo. Jesus Christ. Man, better not use that skill because I'm being a little bit petty, yes, but at the same time, dude, there's one typo in like 10,000 words from a group of like 20 people. That is what I'm gonna call acceptable no matter what.
Etc. Now, this is the real important part here because we all know server issues can't last forever. They were going to have to fix them. Obviously, they're going to do bug fixes and they're going to focus on making the game playable. Like, that's the obvious part. This part here is the future content. Now, I had them on my podcast where they announced, the dev here, that they were going to be releasing Pinnacle boss content. We're going to talk about this here in a second because they say for 1.1 they're bringing on some Pinnacle content, which is some of the complaints that currently I'm seeing about the game's in-game state is there's no, like, extreme boss Pinnacle challenge,
Yeah, by the way, this is the PoE effect, because PoE does have a fleshed out endgame. People now want every game to start with these completely fleshed out endgames. Bruh, PoE didn't have an endgame for 5 years, I think, or 6 years or something like that. So, relax there a little bit, Chief, about your fucking endgame needs to be at the very start of the game, okay? Again, I think Last Epoch is going to take over. It's literally 5 days old at this point, and it has already done half of what PoE has managed to achieve in 10 years. Well, more than 10 years at this point. 10 years, and it has innovated on things that PoE has no idea that can even be innovated to begin with. Not even talking about Diablo 4. That's like completely flawed at this point.
Like Lilith and Diablo, like the Ubers in PoE, for instance, and there's some, the more hardcore ARPG players want to have these sort of chase goals outside of just grinding your power and your corruption that are incremental. You want these one big, here I go, 1v1 versus the boss type of.
Yeah, but it's good that they have an infinity grind like that, technically. I like
future
that.
Content plans. Excited to share.
By the way, it's kind of hard to imagine that these are the first guys that actually did this kind of system, the incremental grind. I have talked about this in Diablo 4. I think, for example, Vampire Survival has an incremental grind. Golden eggs. I already talked about this. You get a golden egg. You get like 2 golden eggs per map, maybe. Well, maybe more. Depends on the map, right? And, well, 4. 4, I should say, yeah. Minimum. And what do you get from these golden eggs? You get a 0.01% power increase. But it doesn't matter because you see that, oh, this character has 40 golden eggs. Does that make your character stronger? Hell no. You're not even actually considering these incremental increases, how they work. You're not actually even a 0.5% stronger from these 40 eggs. But man, it's 40 eggs and that feels pretty big and good. So I'm surprised that Last Epoch is the only ones that have this type of thing.
share the cycle plans we have in the next major cycle patch 1.1. So that's coming this 1.1 patch here. The content coming for 1.1 is designed specifically in two parts. The first is focusing on and committing time to act on players' feedback. We are wholly committed to making it the best ARPG in the genre, and listening to our amazing community is a big part of that. In addition, throughout the 1.0 cycle, we intend to release quality of life and bug fixes patches regularly. So they're saying new content's coming, but we're still going to be doing bug fixes, etc. first. Secondly, as you all may know, we're going to have a heavy emphasis on expanding in-game content now that we've released 1.0. In my opinion, this right here is the correct move. In my review, I said I thought the game was quite good, but I think that the in-game could have some improvements. I'm not hating on it. It's just how I feel about the game, honestly. I still feel this way. So they say for future patches, we have plans to expand the monolith, bring great new itemization options, add more boss content, class and balance updates, campaign content, etc. For 1.1, we'll specifically be focusing on bringing some pinnacle content or very hard fights that will give you challenges to aspire to. We'll be sharing more on this and what's to come in 1.0 in the not distant future. So here we are, less than a week basically into
Yep, I like this.
The launch of this game, and we have announcements talking about campaign content, boss content, class and balance updates, new itemization, expanding the in-game monolith system. So we have a significant amount of announcements here coming into the in-game. It's worth emphasizing that EHG has a strong focus to listening onto the community. It's where our team came from. We want to hear from you to see in the future. They mentioned this also. I asked them about this in my podcast. They started as a Kickstarter, which originally started as a Reddit post. Yeah. So they started from the forums, and they're listening to where they started from is sort of what they're saying basically here with this last paragraph. So now we get to the part where they're kind of responding to the reviews and the sentiment and sort of the launch, clusterfuck that really basically happened here. So
I still think that honestly, the streamers are gonna leave kind of no matter what, the big ones, right? You can try to add endgame to keep them around for a week or two longer, but they're gonna leave probably anyway, at least the majority of them, because, fresh game and blah, blah, blah. I think what they should be concentrating the most is what I have been saying from the very start. Animations and just basic looks of the game. There are still animations that look very janky, and those janky animations are the primary thing that makes people leave the game. The average person doesn't give a shit about your pinnacle content or any of that garbage. They care about the animations being fluid. They care about your character looking pizzazz, They care about those things. And when your first skill looks it looks just bad, it's not good. That's going to make people leave the game. And I think that, and obviously the second one is the pinnacle bosses. So you're getting both sides, the casuals and the hardcore players. Okay? As long as you concentrate on these two things, I think Last Epoch is going to do good, and it's going to, the hype for it's not going to drop off for a longer time. And, you obviously need to keep the hype up, because the more you keep the hype up, the better it is, because the hype is the big bucks.
So they say they're continuing to receive high praise about the game itself. Steam reviews and sentiment, however, took a heavy hit due to the initial turbulence of online launch. This is fair. Now, the first day didn't really care that much. I was like, it's the first day. The second day and the third day and the fourth day is when it started to get a little bit more annoying, and those reviews were becoming more and more fair. People that complained within the first couple hours was harder to take their review seriously, but the people that complained after a few days...
Hey, if you want to complain in the first minute that you can't get into the server, honestly, I think that's kind of fair.
Those are some
a bit unhinged, maybe, but kind of still fair.
Real reviews that you can't tell people that can't connect to a game with their friends after days of it being down on an online game, even though offline mode's available. It's true. I played offline mode also during this time. You can't really tell them that their reviews aren't accurate reviews. So people that left negative reviews have every right to do so because the servers were in fact down. But now what they have to do is they have to commit to regaining that trust by making improvements to our backend infrastructure for this amount of load and providing a great experience for online play. Basically, they are saying that we got bad reviews, we took a hit, but we're going to have to pull a No Man's Sky here and prove that we can make a good game, continue to get the connection better and better. It's fine nowadays, but this is 6 days after the launch here, and try to earn back some of those people that left because they couldn't play the game or left a negative review, and make them willing to change it to a positive review. They're going to have to earn that sentiment back. So they say they take time to read the reviews and feedback on Steam, socials, and forums, and they take swift action to improve the areas that players are dissatisfied with. They know that seeing our Steam reviews lower than ever has been concerning to players who were looking forward to the future of last Epoch. Yeah, part of this for me is, I'll be honest, I have a split thing about this.
This is kind of sad that this happens, but then again, I think Steam has a good system because it's a recent reviews. Okay, so if the game is overall positive, it shows you on Steam overall positive, but currently for some reason everyone's downvoting because it's bad, and then you understand that, hey, this game probably is good, but something bad is happening in it. Okay? And, you know, if the reviews are mixed, then, oh, this was a expected game, probably wasn't that good, but now people are uploading it, which means whatever it was, it probably was fixed. So, you know, that's a pretty good way that Steam does it, I think, with the recent being up or down or whatever.
I was bummed out to see the negative reviews, even though you can't really blame people for leaving negative reviews, because I was hoping that a game with a $35 price tag built off of the back of a Kickstarter from a Reddit post that's an indie game company in the ARPG genre would be able to sort of prove that you can make a great game with a great launch at a fair price tag with no having to purchase microtransactions or anything like that. Yes, there's cosmetics in the game, but to be honest, they look terrible. And the in-game cosmetics of the actual armor, in my opinion, look even better. But I was hoping that this game could sort of be a win for proving the concept that you don't have to be like a extremely greedy.
Well, they sold way more copies than they expected, so they're not gonna push, I imagine, for microtransactions just yet. When everything stabilizes, they're probably gonna instantaneously have a team like, yes, now you're gonna make the super unbelievably good looking microtransaction skins, chop.
The AAA game. Unfortunately, they did have a bad launch. And so this knocking out of the park home run is not going to happen. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, it's a great game, and I think most people who have played the game a significant amount of times would tell you it is a good game, but you only get one chance to make a first impression, and basically the launch of the game was a little bit of a disaster in terms of connections, so they're going to have to re-earn that.
You know, it's strange, honestly. It's like sometimes horrible first impressions like this screw you up, but sometimes they're really good. Remember when World of Warcraft Classic launched, and every starting zone had a player density of 10 per mob? And everything was literally just chocked to the brim full of players? Bro. I mean, yeah, you needed to spend 5 hours in the starting zone to actually, like, get level 4 or something like that. And then the second day, it still wasn't a lot better. But, you know, that experience was amazing. Not amazing in last Epoch, though. So, for sometimes it actually works out, sometimes it doesn't.
That sentiment, I think, is the reality of it. Now, there's some of this which is, okay, these are just people complaining in Discord. These are people complaining in Reddit. Yeah, but it's a lot of people. And those people's opinions do matter. They matter when you look at Steam reviews, and their Steam reviews are now mixed. And people who maybe don't know anything about the game, maybe they're not going to watch YouTube videos, maybe they're not going to go read forum posts, but they're just going to look at reviews on Steam. I myself, if I see a Steam game that has mixed reviews, am much less likely to purchase the game than if it says overwhelmingly positive.
Yeah.
For instance, I don't know about you. I'm just speaking for myself. Steam reviews do actually matter when it comes to influencing this game. So I think they're kind of addressing that, and they're saying that for those players who are concerned, like, well, you guys took a big hit here. Like, is this going to affect the game? They're saying no. We want to assure you that the team has been committed to making a game you can enjoy and expect updates for years to come. We've seen the passion reflected back at us in the community this past week, and it's bolstered our resolve to that goal even further. Last Epoch is here to stay. So that's sort of how they respond to the situation, more or less saying they're doing their best to get everything up and running. It should be.
Yep, and that's pretty much it. That's the best we can hope for. Anyway, that was DM Dark Microtransactions, the Skittleizer. And this was Quizzer Said, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.